Hi everyone, it's Katie from Paradise Falls family. In this video we'll be going into a bit more detail on our day ashore in Juneau on our Alaskan cruise on the Disney Wonder in August 2024, and in particular the excursion to Mendenhall Glacier that we really enjoyed here. We've already given a summary of our cruise in separate vlogs which you can find in our Alaska playlist, and our day in Juneau was the second of 3 shore days in the middle of our cruise. In this video I'll talk through how we spent our time in Juneau, but I'll also give a bit of an overview of the port for those of you who haven't visited yet, mention some of the other things you can do with your time, and along the way give some tips and information that will hopefully help you make the most of your day here. So to start off with some background, Juneau, alongside Icy Strait Point, is the furthest north that the ship goes on this cruise, but it still sits right in the bottom corner of the vast state of Alaska, of which Juneau is the capital. This means it's the largest town or city that you'll visit on this trip, so while there are lots of excursions and things to do, this is one of the stops where you can just get off and spend some time in town without spending a fortune. However, if you do want to get out and about a bit more, there are loads of great options. One of these is to visit Mendenhall Glacier, which is just outside of the city and is one of the main draws in the area. There are a variety of different excursions available to enjoy the glacier. We chose the Mendenhall Glacier Explorer excursion that went first thing in the morning, then we were left with some free time to enjoy the city in the afternoon. The ashore times were 6:45 AM to 4:45 PM, so you have plenty of time in port to explore the area. The port area itself, where our ship docked, is just outside of the main city centre, so you do need to take a short shuttle bus from the ship to the centre, but this is free and only takes a couple of minutes. There was also a Royal Caribbean ship docked right in the centre while we were there, so it may be that Disney use this dock sometimes as well. For us, because we began with an excursion, we started by meeting in the theatre to join our group. As I've mentioned, we booked the Mendenhall Glacier Explorer excursion, and it cost $246 for the 4 of us, and this began at 8 AM. It was scheduled to last 3 to 3.5 hours, so fit nicely with our plans for the day. After a quick room service breakfast to save time, we met in the theatre and were walked off the ship and straight onto the bus waiting for us. This was an old double-decker, not a coach, but was perfectly fine as the journey out to the glacier was only around 30 minutes. The journey took us through the city centre and out the other side, so we were able to get a mini tour of Juneau, and the driver gave us a bit of commentary and some information about the wildlife in the area. We managed to spot a couple of eagles on the way out, and these often sit on the street lights by the road looking for salmon in the harbour. Out at the glacier, there's a small parking lot and visitor centre. We were told to meet back at the bus at 10:30, giving us around 2 hours to explore on our own. We started with a quick look around the visitor centre, where you can pick up snacks and souvenirs and look around the mini museum. Then there are a variety of different walks you can do from the centre. We started with the Steep Creek Trail behind the visitor centre, just off the parking lot. This takes you down onto a boardwalk which winds its way around and across the river, and it's a good opportunity to try and spot bears. However, at this time of year most of the walk is closed because of bear activity. We found that the first few minutes were open and were on a raised wooden boardwalk, but then there was a gate closing off the remainder of the walk, which I don't think is as protected, so it wasn't safe given the bears in the area. Still, it's a nice little walk down by the river. You can see the salmon splashing around and you get to enjoy a little of the scenery, with the chance of seeing a bear in the river below as well. Back at the visitor centre, there's then a couple more hikes you can do. We went on to the Nugget Falls Trail, which is a 2-mile round trip on a paved path pretty much the whole way. The walk is really busy, so we always felt safe and around plenty of other people. And it takes you out to Nugget Falls, which is on the lake and near to the glacier itself. although you can't actually see the glacier very well from the falls, so keep that in mind so you're not too disappointed. The walk itself was really nice and took us around 30 minutes at most each way, so the kids managed it just fine. Once you reach Nugget Falls at the end, there's a little viewing area, or you can step over the rocks down onto the beach and wander up really close to the falls, where you can climb on the rocks or skim stones on the lake. You can get really close to the water here and get some brilliant pictures. It was really impressive and well worth the trip out here. On the way back, just before the visitor centre, if you bear right, you can head up the Photo Point Trail, which is only 1/3 of a mile, and it's your best opportunity for a good view of the glacier. This is a very short and scenic path which takes you a little bit closer to the glacier and gives you unobstructed views. So if you only have time for one walk, this is probably the one to do. Keep in mind you're still away from the glacier, so if you want to see it up close, you're best off looking at one of the other excursions which are available. We arrived back at the visitor centre with maybe 15 minutes to spare before our bus, so it all fit in very nicely. I would say though that the excursion was advertised at 3 to 3.5 hours, so even including all of the transfer time, it was on the shorter side of that. It wasn't a problem for us, but worth keeping in mind if you're wanting longer than 2 hours at the site. On the way back, our driver made a stop in the city centre to let people jump off if they wanted, rather than heading straight back to the ship. It was only around 11 AM, so we took the chance to spend some time in the city. The centre itself is pretty small and very walkable, so we strolled the streets, doing some shopping and exploring a little. We picked up some treats and souvenirs and made a quick stop in the famous Red Dog Saloon. There was a wait for a table, but we were able to poke our heads in for a quick look through the famous swinging doors. The dock in the centre is also a lovely area, with free games like cornhole, which the kids really enjoyed. Then the other main attraction here is the Gold Belt tram up to the top of Mount Roberts. We really considered this as there are supposed to be great views from the top, but we've been on quite a few gondolas already this trip, and it would have cost us $190, so we decided to give it a miss this time. It did look very popular and busy, and goes from right in the middle of the city, so it's very easy to do if this is something you're interested in. The shuttle bus back to the ship leaves from just outside the gondola centre, and there are regular free shuttles going back and forth to the ship all day. We hopped on one of these and were back in just a couple of minutes. It was early afternoon by now and Cabanas was shut in, so we enjoyed a late lunch out on the pool deck and decided to spend the rest of the day chilling out on the ship. We really enjoyed our excursion and the city of Juneau. It's a very laid back city, very pleasant and really nice to explore, and there's plenty to do in the surrounding area to fill the whole day if you want to. Because Juneau is the state capital and therefore a bigger city and port, it's possible to arrange your own excursions and activities. We found quite a few on Viator who we tend to use for booking these sorts of things. But always keep in mind that the ship won't wait for you if you return late and you're not on a Disney excursion. This shouldn't generally be a problem here when you have so much time ashore, but it's worth keeping in mind, and it's something we always weigh up when deciding what shore activities to do on a cruise. For Juneau, we looked at a variety of excursions, but decided Mendenhall Glacier was the main thing we wanted to see. Disney offers a range of excursions here, and the prices and options weren't too bad compared to some of the other options on Viator, so we decided just to play it simple and book through Disney. There are lots of options for the glacier, including actually walking on the glacier itself or kayaking up to it, and other combinations with other activities and excursions. The main ones we considered were the Rainforest Garden Adventure and the Gold Belt Tram, but decided that we wanted a bit of time in Juneau to explore and didn't want a full day of excursions. There was also the family panning for gold and mine tour, which looked pretty good, and then some whale watching options, but we'd already decided to do whale watching in Icy Strait Point instead. If you want to be a bit more adventurous, there are also a variety of helicopter and seaplane trips that looked really fun, but these obviously cost a little bit more. Some of these excursions do sell out, so make sure to get booked on the one you want before it fills up. These can be booked between 75 and 123 days before sailing, depending on your Castaway Club level. So hopefully that's given you a good overview of Juneau and shown you how to make the most out of your day and some of the things you can get up to when here. Next week we'll move on to looking at our time in Ketchikan, which was our third and last stop of the cruise. If you like this video, please give it a like and make sure to subscribe to our channel. In the meantime, if you've got any questions or any other tips, then please let us know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching.